Welcome back. I'm Michael Bull, and this is the Commercial Real Estate Show. Today we're talking about office properties and office tenant strategies. Please welcome my next guest. Is David Mandell. He is founder and CEO of PivotDesk. Now, PivotDesk is I guess it's an app, but it's a website where you can do some remarkable things if you have some excess space that you like to get some income on, or you need some flexible space for your business. David is joining us now on Skype. David, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Michael. Happy to be here.
Well, we appreciate you being on. And tell our audience just what is PivotDesk and why is it created?
Yeah, so the concept behind PivotDesk is actually pretty simple. When you think about it, real estate is a very static structure, and businesses are more and more dynamic. And as a result, they're looking for more flexible solutions. So what PivotDesk does is it gives you almost a cloud service for office space that allows you to grow your business the way it should grow, not the way real estate dictates. So for example, if you're a small business and you're trying to bet your business on a 5-year lease, but you don't even know how much space you need yet, that's a really big risk for a business. So what PivotDesk does is help you find flexible space for now by sharing space with another company that has excess space, lets you focus on growing your business, your objectives, driving some revenue, closing another investment round, whatever you need to do until you get to the point where you feel more comfortable and you can invest in that longer lease.
Okay, so if you have one person, 3 people, 5 people, 15 people, and you need it month to month, you can get it.
You can get it. In fact, we have companies as big as 50 people that use us for the flexible solution. They just don't know where they want to commit to a lease yet, or they've committed to a lease, but it's going to take a year to build out. They need some flex space in the meantime, and we help them find great space to focus on their business.
Okay, and let's say that I've leased a larger space than I need because I want to grow. How can I use PivotDesk to get some income on that space in the meantime?
Yes, it's actually the exact same way. So, every time you sign a lease, we assume you're going to take more space than you need because, you're always going to grow into it. The problem is you just never know when. So what PivotDesk does is it kind of gives you that cloud service, that way to offset your lease risk by sharing that space with another great company. And that sharing relationship is totally in your control. So you get to choose who they are, what kind of company you want, what's the right culture, who do I want to share my space with. And once you find a great company to share that space with through PivotDesk, we handle all the details. So nobody has to run around chasing checks. Nobody's worried about credit risk. You simply automatically get paid every month. You decide how much you want for the space. And it's not about square footage. You're not demising space. You kind of look over there and say, hey, I think I can fit 15 or 20 people there, whatever it is. I want $300 per person per month. Here are the house rules. Here's what you get. Take it or leave it.
Right.
And once that relationship works, that keeps going for as long as it works for both sides, and then either side can cancel with 30-day notice. So if you start growing and need your space back, you're not locked into a sublease where you can't even have your own space back.
Right. You just give 30-day notice and you've got your space back. And I like how you name the parties. It's the host and the guest. So they're a guest. So if they're a problem guest, I can get rid of them. It's a license, not a lease, right?
Exactly. 30-day notice, either side can cancel. If the relationship isn't working out, you simply say, hey, listen, we gave it a shot. It's not working out. I'm giving you guys 30 days notice. And PivotDesk is more than happy to help that guest find another space that's maybe a better match for them, and also happy to help you find another guest for your space.
Okay. Quickly, how does the money flow?
Yeah, the money flows through PivotDesk from the guest to the host. So nobody's chasing checks. Nobody's worried about credit risk. We charge the guest company through an ACH transfer every month on that license fee that, again, the host determined. We take 10%, which is how we make our revenue, and remit residual to the host. So that money just shows up in the host's account every month. They get an email receipt, say, hey, here's how much money you made this month. Here's how much you made this past year. Here's how much more money you could make based on the extra space you have. And we also give you this great dashboard that lets you say, hey, here are the companies in my space that I'm sharing it with. Here are the people in those companies, their emails, their pictures, their social profiles, my communication history, everything you need to know to kind of manage that relationship and not be a landlord, just be able to focus on your business.
Okay. And your website is pivotdesk.com. And if I'm a host and I want to post space, I can post it. But can I post as a tenant looking for space?
You don't
guest.
Post as a guest, If you're a small company looking for space, you do a quick search on what's available from a host perspective. Okay. You can set up alerts. So if you don't see anything you like yet, you can set up alerts for when new space is posted. You get alerted. But again, the key is to think about it like a relationship, not a real estate transaction, right? And the big thing that people miss is when you're sharing space, that culture is actually much more important than the location or the exposed brick or the square footage. So it's really important to think about what's the right kind of company for me to be sharing my space with, and that's what we try and facilitate.
Right, and that's a good point. So if you take me, for example, I have some really nice office space in Atlanta. Then we're a commercial real estate services and brokerage firm. So if I wanted to share some space, I could say I want one person or two people or whatever, and I'd like them to be associated with the development or some sort of vendor or developer or something related to commercial real estate. I can do that.
Absolutely. It's completely in your control. You could list it that way, or you could simply just wait and see what comes in and then determine, hey, you never know. Maybe there's actually another cool company that's not commercial real estate specific, but it's relevant and you want to talk to them anyway. But you don't have to say yes to anybody. It's completely in your control, and you can decide who you want to share your space with.
Okay. And the host controls what they're sharing with the guests. So if I'm the host, for example, again, if I want them to share with our coffee shop and be able to get coffee, or if I want them to have access to my game room, or if I'm to have access to conference rooms or copiers and things, I decide that as host?
Yes, and what we try and do is what we try not to do actually is we try not to nickel and dime anybody. So as the host, what we say to you is when you're creating a posting, decide what the guest gets ahead of time. Say, do they have access to the copier, the coffee machine, conference rooms? It's really totally up to you, but decide ahead of time and then just build all that into the price. So nobody's worried about nickel and diming or small transactions here and there, because that just gets in the way of your business, and that's not what we want.
Right. And you think about it, the world is so mobile now. It seems that the time is here for this type of service, because you could come in and you need a desk. You could use your own phone, your own iPad for access to the internet. You don't even really have to use the company's internet. You certainly don't need to use their phone because you've got your cell phone, right?
Yeah, we have some companies that just come into shelf space to go to IKEA, pick up a table, work on their cell phones and the laptops, and they're in business. But what we recommend for any guest really is kind of minimum acceptable is desks and Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. And as long as you've got some desks and access to Wi-Fi, which you're more than welcome to section out from a privacy perspective, but as long as there's desks and Wi-Fi, 9 out of 10 times you'll get someone that's looking for a good space. That this is not about floor to ceiling glass, exposed brick, full-time receptionists. This is about companies that just want to focus on growing their business, want a great place to work, and they want to make sure it's affordable and it's flexible.
And how might commercial real estate brokers utilize PivotDesk to help their clients?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of brokers that use us, and they use us for, when you think about it, it's a very specific reason. They spend their lives caught between a rock and a hard place, a commercial static commercial real estate infrastructure. Yeah, exactly. And and they're trying to talk to a client who has a very hard time predicting how big their business is going to be 5 or 10 years from now. Yet those are the contracts they're asking those clients to sign. So what we're giving the broker is almost like a cloud service for that office space, where they can sit down with their client and say, listen, based on what you're telling me, this is the space you really need and you should take, because you don't want to have to move another year from now, because that's just completely disruptive to your business. So let's take that space. We can use PivotDesk to offset the lease risk until you need the space. We can cover a half or a third of your lease, your rent payment. You get to choose who you want to share it with. And the best part about it is when you need that space, you get it back. You're not locked into a sublease where you can't even have your own space back. And on the flip side of that, they get calls on a weekly basis from companies that they can't help yet, small companies that they would love to develop a relationship with, but they're just too small. Hey, we're 5 people. I need a 1-year lease. We can do so. Can you help us? And the brokers know they're never going to get a landlord to say yes to that deal. So what PivotDesk allows them to do is actually work as more of a business partner as opposed to a salesperson, and sit down with that company and say, listen, based on what you're telling me, you shouldn't be taking a lease yet. Let's find you some good shared flexible space for now until you close that next big deal or get your next investment round. And then you can actually start to predict where you want to be. And then I'm happy to help you find the right lease. And now the brokers established that relationship early. They haven't had to say no to the company. And because PivotDesk is all per person per month, when the companies grow, the broker now has real-time data saying, hey, these companies are growing. You may want to reach back out to them and offer a lease or another solution, as opposed to just setting a random reminder for 6 months to a year from now to play golf or have lunch.
Right. And if you're a broker and you're helping a tenant, create some income from excess space, you can have the contact be someone at that company, or it could be you as the broker, however you want that set up. Is that right?
Absolutely. So the broker really gets to decide how they want the relationship to work. They can be the point person for that house company that they've closed the lease for. So now not only are they helping their client, but when they bring other small companies into that space, they're developing early stage relationships that they can then nurture and grow into a lease deal.
Great. And final question for you, David, is the actual agreement. So, and I'm a commercial real estate broker. We're used to leases where the tenants have legal rights, but you're referring to this more as of a license. Do you guys supply that license?
Yes, it's a license agreement. It's fully downloadable and signable. So at any time, either the guest or the host can download the signed license agreement. It's been reviewed by many, many commercial real estate brokers. In fact, we have many large landlords that use our service. And, trust me, if their attorneys haven't gone through this with a fine-tooth comb, they're usually the most nervous ones about any kind of shared space or sublease. And we have many landlords that are using us as a flexible solution to help close their clients and also allow their clients so they don't have to go through a sublease process to use PivotDesk, so they don't have to remarket that space.
Yeah. Well, David, sounds like a great service. I'm going to try it out myself. And so thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Michael. I really appreciate the time, and hopefully we can find you a great guest to share your space with.
Great. Thank you. If you'd like more information, visit pivotdesk.com, and be sure to join us next week. We're going to talk about retail real estate. Again, we'll talk about some retail tenant strategies. We'll talk about the investment market and some management and leasing tips. So until next week, be sure that you always lead, learn, and laugh, and join us for the Commercial Real Estate Show. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by Bull Realty, commercial real estate asset and occupancy solutions. Visit bullrealty.com. CCIM Institute, commercial real estate's global standard for professional achievement. Visit ccim.com/CRE show. Xceligent, providing verified commercial real estate information across the United States. Visit xceligent.com. Valuate, easily share what-if analysis online with colleagues. Visit getvaluate.com.